Yeah, this happened.
Facebook was,
It's doing the same thing as last time, where it just says it's waiting for the channel. As in the live things there, and that confused as people who watched the live show last time on other things like Periscope or whatever can
yep.
attest. It confused the hell out of me last time, and I was like, "What's going on with this thing?" So, and so for anyone who is listening right now, we're just waiting for YouTube to get its together because
No, it says here it's live.
whoa, there we go, there we go, we got it. We are live, everyone. Hey, we'll say the proper intro in just a second, but first let's do the cool, weird graphic thingy. So, hey everyone, and welcome to another Friday afternoon or, Saturday morning in some parts of the world. We won't talk about that too much, but I'm joined by the one and only Josiah Spackman, DigiByte community member extraordinaire. I don't know if you have a better title. Who cares about titles? I didn't have you on for your fancy title anyway. So, what time is it your part of the world right now?
So it's 8 a.m. over here. We've actually just had daylight saving, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not it's not super bad. I was at jiu-jitsu class at 7:30 this morning my time because I don't do that, but I wanted to do a sign of solidarity and be on the struggle bus early in the morning with the bleary red eyes and everything. A big heavy man sitting on my chest trying to wrench my arm off just so I could have struggle in my life and be a sympathetic character and not just a sipping on my coffee at 3 in the afternoon while people
It'll
on the other
certainly
side.
make for a more interesting stream, that's for sure. With the two of us going, I'm awake. I promise
Yes,
I'm
of
awake.
course. So we have a couple people watching live. Hey everyone, let me just add a couple things real quick. So first off, I am sponsored by NordVPN. I haven't gotten anything out of it yet, but if you want a good VPN, you can pay with a bunch of cryptos, and it works. I've been actually using it for years before I ever asked for money. Then yeah, go to nordvpn.org/DCN or put DCN as a promo code in. And yeah, you get like a 68% discount. It's great. If you actually sign up for that, I get some money, and that would make me very happy. But there's other ways of getting you money, by the way. I don't know if you see down here this little yellow box. That's this crypto super chat thanks to Naomi Brockwell and the CoinTr.ee people. And so what happens is, here we go. It says leave crypto super chat. You go to CoinTr.ee/TheDesertLynx. That's my little CoinTr.ee thing. And then all you have to do at that point is you leave a message, a public message, not a private one, because that won't show up here. And then it'll just show up right here live. So if you want to ask a question, because I'm watching the live chat right now on YouTube and other things, and I will probably answer most of those questions there, most of the comments, but not necessarily all of them. So if you want to make sure that I see and address your question, if you want to actually, sure, it's going to cost you, make me an offer I can't refuse. You know how it works. Yeah, so this has been a crazy last few weeks or whatever. I would just go straight into the talk of the crashy town, which is BitMEX, which not to be confused with anything related to Mexico as far as I'm concerned.
It's like because I woke up and there was like just tweets and private messages and just all the good stuff basically going, what's happening?
Yeah. And
so another exchange founder operator has basically been asked to turn shit over to the government.
mm-hmm.
Why are we surprised at this point?
Yeah.
Like really? And why do we care? And second of all, so one of the things as well that he actually did was he said, get your crypto off there, we'll process the withdrawals really quickly. Who the fuck still leaves their money on a crypto exchange? Have you people not learned?
Yeah, these people do not learn, as it turns out. It's kind of a little bit of a sad thing, to be honest, because the whole point of crypto was be your own bank. No one holds your money for you, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, some people didn't get the memo very clearly, it seems.
No, exactly. I feel though, like, let's be honest, we've got the blocknet.
Mm-hmm.
Why are people not using it? It is you retain control of your keys. They never go anywhere. The money's yours. It stays in your position. The whole thing could go up in smokes tomorrow. It won't because it's a decentralized blockchain. But still, hypothetically, you're not going to lose anything.
Mm-hmm. It's just
And everyone's going to go, yeah, but liquidity.
yeah, I think it'll take a lot for a actual polished solution to come out that people start to use that gets enough kind of traction. But in the meantime, we're stuck with these big behemoths of bank-like institutions that, for some reason, I mean, you get the reason, mad gains, right? But for rhetorically some reason, they don't seem that interested. They don't seem that interested in making sure they're 110% compliant. It's like, this isn't just because you deal in crypto doesn't mean you are crypto. You're a bank-like thing, and the regulators will come and try to shut you down if you don't do that. So be expecting that, and don't make everyone suffer, and then the prices crash, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, like, we shouldn't be surprised. We've seen this happen time and, like, literally time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
This is not new, but yeah, we've got people going, oh, I hope I can get my Bitcoin off, or oh, I can't make it to a computer in time because I'm on vacation or something, and I left my two-factor. Like, come on, people.
Yeah, get with the decentralization program. So,
Yeah. I feel bad for them. I do. Like, don't get me wrong. This sounds really like, ugh, I'm just shitting all over. It's not entirely that. Like, let's be honest. I feel bad because these people are going to have a negative experience. But if you are there and your stuff is on an exchange, it's probably because you're just wanting to buy and sell. Are you, like? It sounds really pathetic and really elitist. But are you here for the crypto, or are you just here for the mad gains? If you're just here for the mad gains, that's cool. Like, not taking that away from you. But you signed up for this.
yeah.
Part of those mad gains is also the fact that it can all be taken away from you. So if you want to buy and sell in the stock market, cool. Buy and sell in the stock market. You're going to have far less of these mad gains, but you're also going to have that stability. So you kind of sign up for it, really. It's a risk-reward scenario. Do you want to take the risk? If you're up for it, all power to you. I, for one, I don't day trade, so I really don't care. It doesn't bother me.
Exactly. Well, we interrupt that with a very special message we got in. Hey, Joel, you talked quite much recently that you need a beer to keep your throat not dry. One for Josiah, too. Cheers, guys. I don't have a beer next to me, unfortunately. I have my little empty little espresso cup that I just finished. My third espresso shot of the day.
The only way to drink coffee, I'll admit, is the best. But this is actually a beer mug or a beer stein, whatever, from Hobbiton. Currently filled with just slightly chilled water. So
yes, well, that's what a lot of American beer used to taste like before the craft beer revolution. So it qualifies.
Which is fascinating. I did some looking into it, and the American, I mean, some of it still tastes a lot like water.
Yeah.
We have a huge craft beer industry over here in New Zealand, like you would not believe. So per capita, our craft beer industry is massive.
Yeah.
But I think my wife would probably give me a lot of grief if she woke up at like 8:30 or something and was like, "You're drinking beer already."
Yes, that's one of those like downsides of having the wife is you don't get to be an absolute slob and a disrespect to your species. You have to keep it together just a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess it's a benefit as well as a disadvantage. So
the humanity.
well, speaking of,
but thank you, I appreciate the super chat being sent to Joel there.
Yeah. So speaking of absolute disgraces to humanity and such like that, Donald J. Trump. Everyone's favorite. Some people in the audience love the guy, probably. A lot can't stand him. Whether you like him or not, he's got the Rona, which is also known as COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2, whatever you want to call it. He's got it. He's being a little fatigued feeling and kind of a little bit of a light cold feeling. So he's probably, for better or worse, going to survive. But upon news of that, I did notice that the markets, the traditional markets, but also the crypto markets, experienced a little rumbling, which hopefully the crypto markets were just as a result of the other markets. And hopefully the crypto world does not think that they need, they need the Donald to prop them up somehow, because he's not a fan of crypto.
He's not. I'm like, what's he actually contributing? What's he actually doing? Sorry, I'm just actually trying to find a short little clip because I'm in New Zealand. We are by and large big fans, purely just for the comedy reasons. And so,
who in their right mind isn't? He's like a stand-up comedian. He's actually good at that. That's what he's actually good at, is being entertaining.
It's like you were mentioning before. It's for the memes and the hilarity and things. So at one of like they during our first lockdown from when was it, like late March until I don't know, it was 6 or 8 weeks, whatever. Somebody stood up and basically our Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is absolutely lovely. She's brilliant. She's got some of the highest like polling and acceptance ratings like you wouldn't believe, and she's doing her daily address for coronavirus, telling us, we're looking really good. The numbers are actually down. This is working. We're very close to being COVID free, and to which we are again. It's a long story, but somebody stands up, a political reporter who has a
shit job. Let's be honest.
Wow, yeah, and this political reporter is usually like 2 pickles short of a sandwich kind of thing.
Yes. As they tend to be.
She says, now we've heard that there are rumors. So she's standing up there, our Prime Minister on one hand and our Director General of Health on the other side, who is quite well revered. And this reporter stands up and goes, what do you say to the people who are suggesting that we ingest certain chemicals? And the Prime Minister just goes, I'm not sure I actually need to dignify that with a response. I shit you not. The camera then cuts across to our Director General of Health. It's him blinking just for 4 seconds, like fucking stunned that he got asked this. And then you see him kind of jolt and go, no, you're right, Prime Minister. I don't actually think we need to dignify that with a response. And she goes, yeah, but surely we shouldn't you? And the Director General just kind of rolls his eyes and he goes, at no point should you ever ingest bleach or any other kind of chemicals. Yeah. And it's like, really?
That's a spot. It's funny because we're at the fact and fiction blurring spots. For example, I don't know, just hasn't this year been fantastic for the people who haven't had to actually suffer from its negative consequences, just from like the sit back and watch with a big bale of popcorn, because you couldn't make this up, none of this stuff. And one of those things that I could never make up, even though they keep happening, are bizarre sorts of Litecoin resurgences. Now, back in my day, right, in 2016, like in 2014, when, Dash was forked from the Litecoin code base, it was later reforked to the Bitcoin code base because Litecoin was effectively an abandoned project at that point, and it was not being maintained, so there you go. That was 2014. 2016, It was on its way out, and then Charlie Lee pulled his little Coinbase magic, and then got it there, and it pumped to high heaven, and then just every time you think it's like dead, but wait, there's more. And in this episode thereof, LiteBringer is I believe a role-playing game. I have not actually played it myself, but it's a blockchain game, as it were, that pretty much every action, as far as I know, registers as an on-chain Litecoin transaction. So, as a result, over the last week, Litecoin's somewhere around 40,000 daily transactions, which makes it pretty respectable, actually. It's getting some actual use. Wow. Has gone to like 140,000, which is starting to be like a really slow day on Bitcoin days, kind of.
Yeah, holy shit.
And
because they're okay. So if we're going, are they SegWit No, they won't be, because they'll be using the opportune, right?
Probably.
They are. They're SegWit, surely.
I don't know. I do know that they're non-data, they're non-monetary inputs, as Blockchair tells me. So,
sorry, for the rest of the people who are going, you can do SegWit with OP return. Yeah, you can. It's just I'm still waking up and I haven't had my coffee.
Yes. Probably wouldn't be a SegWit, but just because no one uses it, kind of. Except Litecoin does have a high-ish adoption of that. So who actually knows? But the point being...
So there's 576 blocks a day?
I have not counted lately. What is, I mean,
He's
take
400 divided by 150. So if we're going, what do you say, 140? Oh, yeah. So they're at like 250 transactions per block, which is respectable.
yeah, that's not bad. And
So it's probably making up like almost
60 to 80% of their volume right now, for sure, of their current volume. But it's like, I'm sure they could probably go through a 10x increase before they start bumping into troubles. But maybe not 10x.
Yeah, no, 10x is basically going to cap them, give or take,
Yeah.
especially because it's going to be the additional data. So yeah,
So,
they're probably hovering around about 10% of their blocks at the moment,
so
which is funny given they are the scalable Bitcoin, right?
yeah, which, scalable enough, I guess. And the thing with this is I gotta say, it's a good, part of it's a good news for Litecoin because, people, first off, Litecoin usage has actually picked up recently. And it tends
Yep.
to go up with bull markets and down with bear markets, where you have something like Dash that just very slow and just kind of like goes up very slowly, but doesn't do all this kind of stuff. But so Litecoin's doing pretty well recently. And then
Yeah.
this actually shows like a lot of interest, and it could just be like a few dozen players just playing this game, but it's actual usage. You solved a real world problem, which is we want blockchain games. Like we want a game that does things this way, whatever. But it's real usage, right? And there's nothing to knock on that. The thing to think about,
It raises the question: why does it need to be on chain though? Like every movement, like I could understand if you were going and you were purchasing a in-game item of some description.
that's, I believe, a big part of what's happening is there's a lot of trading of in-game items that are priced, that are using Litecoin to do it. So it's, instead of having to buy into whatever World of Warcraft gold or something like that, you got actual like Litecoin that you're using. So I do know
Which
there's,
is kind of cool.
yeah, I mean that's legit, problem solved kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, what if you could take your World of Warcraft gold straight out, and then you could then put it on, buy something with it. You could trade it for something else. Like I'm sure it's a little bit more, difficult with the fake money world, right? But in the real money crypto world, it's kind of cool. Now, the thing that makes me, you know, this is just one game with like a few players. I'm not saying a few to like, downplay, the cool thing that it is, but it's not like a few crypto people are playing it. It's not like the world at large is playing this. And if you imagine if you have one game, like let's just take like a Fortnite type thing. On that scale, absolutely no. It would crush all blockchains if it had to be on chain. Like pretty much all together, it would just be tons of action.
And don't get me wrong. So between Joel and I, we're not here just specifically shitting on Litecoin. We're shitting on the fact that if you're doing that, like DigiByte's not going to be happy, Ripple's not going to be happy,
Yes.
Dash,
Although,
like none of them are going to be happy.
Although I was also hoping we could be shitting on Litecoin, but I guess I'm alone here.
But yes.
But anyway, point being, it's a great, great start. A lot of great energy and activity on the blockchain that has been used more than a lot, but maybe not up at the top of everything. However, at some point they're going to have to create games like this in either an off-chain way, like an off-chain scaling thing. Like for example, every little that's a great use for like a payment channel, like a Lightning Network type thing.
Yep.
Is you buy into the game and then you do all your trading, and so you do still have on-chain activity from that. But it's like not every single time, like you traded an item, on-chain transaction. You did this, on-chain transaction. That's a great way to bloat the crap out of your blockchains.
Yep. Well, especially I think so. I used to play Lord of the Rings online, and every time you'd go along, you slay like an orc or something. They drop a little bit of gold. I can, as I'm running around, you can insta-jib 5 of them in a second, and as you pick up that 5 different gold from them, that's 5 different transactions potentially, or maybe they batch it because they're clever and it's one. But it raises a really interesting question, though. You're a permissionless blockchain. Who's to stop you?
Yeah, the only thing to stop you is fees, transaction fees, really, because if each transaction costs, let's say, a penny, like 1 cent, that's not that bad for a payment. Even if I'm doing a micro payment, even if I'm tipping you 10 cents, if it's like
Yeah.
what 10% to do that, it's probably okay, right? But if it's 1 cent per every little back and forth thing, you're going to start running up a huge bill playing this game all day. And
Yeah.
then of course clogging up the chain, it starts to cost more money, and then you end up wanting a game that doesn't cost that much. You want off-chain solutions. You want to just pay like 5 or so cents transaction fee to start a channel. I don't know how much a payment channel would cost on a non-clogged network or whatever, but you start like a payment channel, and then there are all these like very low fees on the bouncing around. And if you have like routing problems, if it's a hub and spoke, no one cares how decentralized the LiteBringer internal Lightning network is.
Yeah, no, exactly.
No one cares. And especially as long as there's like some manner of, guarantee that you can get that money even if they want to stiff you at the end of the day. Some sort of a thing where, if you close, you can actually close your channel and they can't stop you from it, sort of. As long as there's something in there, it's good enough.
It's interesting though, because one of the things though that Litecoin are doing is they're doing the extension blocks, and just to kind of, I suppose, further prove to everybody I'm not specifically shitting on Litecoin, although I have a lot in the past.
It's a good time.
It's one of my favorite pastimes for good reason too. But I've actually, I donated. I received a couple of Litecoin for payment for some services. I donated that all to the Mimblewimble and extension block fund, and I've actually just been working on a Docker image that will allow you to compile and participate in their new Mimblewimble and extension block testnet. So
interesting.
I'm shitting on them with one hand and giving to them with the other.
Yes, as God intended, clearly. Well, let's move on to the interesting thing in the news yesterday surrounding Dash. Dash has gone through a block reward reallocation with version 0.16. Along with some other minor improvements. And the entire idea, so this is something where this is actually sort of present for some of this. Obviously, the price of Dash has been a very interesting subject because, of course, the price of Bitcoin and any other coin is all anyone wants to talk about anyway, so it shouldn't surprise anyone that much. But based on, the absolute moonshot of 2017 with the going up to 1,600 USD per coin at one point, and then going significantly lower from that. There's a certain aspect of Dash's economy that sort of causes amplifying effect, and the CEO of the core group, the core development group, came up with a presentation last December at an open house I was at Phoenix, Arizona, that basically showed these weird economic effects that happened because basically you have half the supply or more than half the supply in masternodes, so they don't really go on it. They don't really move around that much. They don't show up on it. They're off exchanges, which is great. But then the problem is you have minor motions of the coin move the entire market cap over double what they should, because the actual circulating supply of Dash is relatively small. I mean, it's circulating on exchanges. And so if someone, say, sells 1,000 units of Dash or whatever, it makes a giant wave in the price compared to if it was something like Litecoin with no masternodes, and then the same percentage of the market cap being sold would cause a much smaller dip. So because of all that, basically the idea was basically they charted some graphs of like over time, the ROI of this. Basically, long boring discussion, but in order to make these swings not go quite as big, up, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, the idea was to add a slight reallocation of the block reward from miners to masternodes. Right now, miners get half. I mean, outside of a treasury with a 10% treasury, which pays for things, miners get half, masternodes get half, and they're going to change it to miners get 40, masternodes get about 60. And supposedly what that'll do is because we're on the downswing of this whole price movement thing. And basically the idea of that will encourage more people to buy masternodes and sort of slow the curve. I'm sure we've heard that plenty, right? Literally slow the curve, flatten the curve of the down, in time for everything to just sort of even out. And there's a few interesting factors that compound this, which is
So the masternodes are getting more,
yes.
but the miners are the ones who will traditionally sell on an exchange to pay for power.
Yes. So suppose there would be more buying and less selling in the short term than otherwise would be, which would slow the decline, so to speak.
How will there be more buying and selling?
So in order to, because it would make sense for more masternodes to be operational, right? Because there's you buy 1,000 Dash, so you run a masternode, and if it becomes more profitable to do so, more people will be buying, and therefore more people buy makes the price go up, and those people don't tend to, according to this theory. Again, there's been a ton of discussion on this, a lot of controversy too. Those sorts of people will not be as willing as miners or to just dump right away to pay expenses because they don't really have as many expenses. Most of their expenses are the opportunity cost of just holding on to that 1,000 Dash. So in the short term, it
doesn't cost them the power, basically. Yeah.
Yes, and this wasn't discussed as part of this, but another thought to this whole process is seeing as Dash platform is about to be out, and there will be a lot of extra stuff done just by masters rather than miners, it would make sense to pay more for the larger portion of the infrastructure. But anyway, that's just my big old recap of the whole thing. What do you think about this? More specifically, what do you think about, do you think this sort of trying to balance things out so you have a certain price effect, is that a good thing to do? Is it a slippery slope to go down? Is it just, well, just make sure your economics are sound. Let's just provide a use to the ecosystem, and then the price will go up. You don't have to worry about that. So what's your old take on that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. So, because I would have personally pegged it like the other way. So I would have said that if you wanted, the problem with like you say, so some big whale coming in and making one big purchase and the price goes up or the price goes down, right? Mm-hmm. So price go down, obviously, if you've got miners that are selling. That's where the downward pressure is definitely coming from. So it's not just specifically about price go up, but it's more specifically price not going down. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in that aspect, I completely understand because the predominantly ASICs consume a ton of power. It's what they do. They also provide a shitload of security. It's what they do. It's good. So one of the things, though, that from my perspective, what DigiByte is looking at is swapping out one of the ASICs with a CPU GPU mineable algorithm, ProgPow RandomX. The idea being that will also partially accomplish something, because home miners, if I just fire it up and mine on my cell phone at night, for example, I'm not going to need to go and sell to recoup the cost. If I leave my computer on overnight just with one GPU, no one gives a shit. It's fine. But it is, like you say, those big miners that are in these larger ASIC farms that do provide that constant downward selling pressure. So in that aspect, I completely understand, actually. It would stop that. Would it stop the bigger swings, though? Probably not, because you'll get the bigger swings from people buying and selling on the lower swings from people buying and selling on the regular.
It's an interesting thing, and part of it is, as you mentioned, this whole ASIC level of things is the way the economics of that tend to work is, as you said, it's like a hard business proposition where when the price is going down, miners are a lot of times selling to make bills. They're selling to make bills up until they need to turn off some machines. That's kind of like the way it works. On the way up, they're not immediately selling much to make bills. They're holding on. They live for the run-ups. And so on the run-ups, they're not putting much sell pressure on the market, but on the down, they are. Now, whereas a masternode, for example, they're probably spending, some of them I know, right, spend their rewards to live, like they're living on interest, so to speak. And so they sell that whether it goes up or down, kind of. And they're not selling their big pile of coins unless something goes horribly wrong, right?
But those people are still technically selling the same amount of block rewards as a miner would be, or at least previously, given you had a 50-50 split, now 60-40. But
yeah, possibly, but they don't all. I mean, I guess if you can afford a few masternodes, if you can afford to own enough masternodes to live off of, you probably have some extra money too, so you don't need to sell when it's on the way down because you don't have costs to recoup. And the thing is, when you have only about 40%, you have those selling effects of miners amplified amongst only, let's just say, 40% of the coin supply. That causes larger ripples. And so it's funny because you have this whole situation with, that's what happened in 2017, is you have a price run up and you have people buying masternodes right and left, trying to, have one so they can retire off of it, sort of thing.
Yep.
And then you have miners not selling because they don't need to because the price is going up. And then you just have this and that amplified on a small supply just had the moonshot price. I mean, it was like from $200 to $1,600 in a matter of a couple months. And
so how many Dash do you need for a masternode?
1,000. So that's about today's prices, like 6,500, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot. Yeah, 65 grand. Okay.
And there are a lot of exchanges are starting to add their own staking programs for Dash. Like Binance, I think, has one. There's a few others which take advantage of running masternodes to do that. But anyway, that's like a very
that's a really and you asked the good question. Is this the slippery slope? Is it the thin end of the wedge? Are you now going to be doing that on the regular? I don't know, but one of the things I presume you've had a really good discussion about is what happens if you either raise or lower the barrier to entry to running those masternodes. Like if you were to bring down the barrier to entry, let's say you divide it by 2, for example.
Yes.
Everybody who previously had 1,000, now you can have 2 running at 500, but other people are now able to jump on board with only 35 grand with instead of 70 grand. Would that not also then you've got more people coming out and going, actually, that's something that I can now participate in because I can't afford it? Yes. I don't know the answer to that one.
I think that you'd have a lot. You would have some people that just wanted recurring income who would now sell half their Dash because they don't need it anymore to have that one thing, but probably be more buying. Now, that's the other thing is it's not just a staking / economic prospect here. We're talking about optimal node size and ability to run the actual network, which at that point becomes a little bit difficult. Once you start having too many nodes, it becomes difficult to propagate blocks all across the huge network. There's a certain optimum number of nodes. Like when the Bitcoin Unlimited team was first doing the gigablock test, they did it took almost 10 minutes to propagate the gigabyte sized block across just 10 nodes on testnet.
You mean the gigameg ones, right?
Yeah. It's so when you have more when you have too many nodes, that becomes a problem. And so it's that's why this concept of fractional trustless masternodes is a huge thing. Now you can actually do that today. You can set up a multi-sig masternode with some friends, and if any one of you can broadcast a refund transaction that refunds everyone their little pieces back. So you can already kind of pull together and you spend as little as
the stuff that Dash does with their masternodes and that with the sharing and things is fucking cool. It really is.
Yes. It's possible to do it semi-trustlessly, but it's clunky and ugly. And some people are starting to come up with apps and things like that to make it a little bit smoother of a process for numbskulls.
So you get about $300 US at the moment for 1,000 Dash masternode, which is 65 grand. So even if you're still paying $50 for an actual a virtual machine somewhere in a data center, you're still making more than enough.
Yeah.
Run a master, complexity rating very hard, risk rating stable.
Hey. Yeah. So it's quite an interesting situation, and
how big's the blockchain?
I don't know right at the moment, but it's not incredibly large because it's very similar to Bitcoin's setup, and it's
27 gigs. Okay.
Yeah, it's not that going to be that huge. So essentially,
you could run it on a $10. So I mean that's an interesting one. I don't know, looking at it just very briefly. Obviously, you and I've probably been talking for 5 minutes about it. I would have myself been more interested in looking at what would happen if you halve the number of required Dash. But like you say, it's a good question. Is this the thin end of the wedge? I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. So when does this kicked in?
I believe as soon as everyone upgrades. So as soon as like enough miners, there's a certain threshold of
Yep.
miners and masternodes that have to implement the new version that came out. Was it yesterday or a couple days ago? I think it was on the 30th. So yeah, it's
What happens if the miners tell you to go stick it?
yeah, that's the thing is if they do, then it just doesn't get implemented, or there could be a fork, which Dash has been very fork resistant in the past, and that's one reason why you could say now that you got miners, you have to make sure to play nice with them because they can't vote on proposals. They can't, but they can nuclear option and wreck the whole thing if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. And so I think that's one reason why it might be just like a 40, like a 60-40 rather than like a 70-30 or something. And it's also
Well, okay.
gradual enough that no one loses their investment in equipment and stuff like that. It's four and a
So
half
they're
years.
decreasing by 20% though, their rewards.
Or, 10, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
20% over 5 years. So the idea is that over that time frame, there won't be any actual like loss, any real loss in whatever.
Well, so the problem is I'm looking on what to mine
Uh
at
huh.
the X11 mining, and if you've got where's a good Fusion Silicon X7? There we go, 1300 watt, 262. So 262, 123, 1300 watts, and let's quickly hit calculate. Yeah, so you're only losing 4 cents per day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, sorry, that was per hour. Okay, so you're losing $1 a day if you have hardware. If your power
Yes.
is at 10 cents.
At
Let's
the
see
end
if you've
of
got.
at the end of 4.5 years, you would be. So because it's so gradual, probably be almost not at all noticed. So that's the thing. It's going to be interesting to see if this actually has the desired effect. Another part of this is that Dash has, I think, only about half of its supply issued. And so, therefore, the current inflation rate is relatively high compared to other coins. Like Litecoin, Bitcoin are somewhere in like 2 or 3% or something like that right now.
Yeah, I think DigiByte's
And
at like 10 or some shit.
is that at like what?
10,
Yeah.
10%.
And Dash is like 6 or 7. It's like higher because the supply is newer. I guess it's
Yeah,
just taking longer, which is great for entropy and things like that. But in decentralization, but you pay for it in
yeah,
that
yeah.
it bleeds value short term by inflating. Well, anyway, that's been a very long discussion on that bit. We have the next thing, which is Coinbase going apolitical, and we actually did get a super chat about that.
You're gonna need to convince your miners, I guess, is all I'm gonna
Yes,
say. Like at
exactly. We'll see what they do. But anyway, here we go. So, Anonymous says the Brian Armstrong edict to expunge toxic virtue signalers at Coinbase was refreshing. Give people some space at work from the current political division is going to improve morale in the long term, in my opinion. That is what Anonymous person says. Thank you for the cash, the digital cash specifically for saying that.
I think they're probably right, and I like that person's take on it. I actually really do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's be honest. So if I go to work,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there at work for the politics. I'm there to fix like fucked up servers and to help people with their problems and to do pre-sales technical consultation. Now, yes, there are times when certain customers will call up and I will speak to them about politics, or I'm on site and you build a rapport with somebody and it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not why they're paying me. They're
Mm-hmm.
not paying me for the political discussions.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, to be honest, that super chat actually sums things up quite well, and it is very refreshing where everything is super political, very politically sensitive as well, very
Mm-hmm.
politically correct as well. Um, I enjoy my job because I know like um, my boss will on some days tell me just straight up to get fucked and just do something, and
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. I fully respect him for that because we have that kind of an open dialogue, that open, um, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just, and I respect that. So I like the fact that Brian Armstrong has come out and gone, you know what? That's cool. You guys, you do you. I'm going to pay you. I think he said he'll pay you 4 months if you decide this is not the path you want to go down.
Which is
if
very generous. It's a very
that,
generous way to tell people to fuck off who don't like what he's doing, you know?
very generous, because he could have turned around and gone, you know what, you don't like it? Well, go suck charcoal.
Yes, exactly. I've not heard that expression much out here, but it does not sound like a fun pastime. So it's one of those things where politics is a very interesting subject, and I find it to be I find too many people talk about the contents of politics and not about the concept of politics, because the concept is much more fascinating to me, that people will fight over, you know, opinions on a certain thing. Like, can you imagine if politics was like, you know, taste in beer? People do disagree and like flame each other. I'm not a fan of anything overly hoppy, including imperial pale ales. And so if people say that, I will make some kind of, you know, joke that it's like they're drinking you know, bleach, like, you know, in the proverbial coronavirus cure or whatever. So I'm just saying, I will make some jokes about that. But if someone's just sitting next to me with an IPA, it looks kind of the same as what I'm drinking. Oh, if someone eats something, I don't care, but people care about politics. And that's the funny thing is, Coinbase is an interesting political organization, because their entire mission is a radical political statement to a certain extent, if you want to consider that. They're trying to expand use and the use and adoption, etc., of freedom-enabling technologies to the whole world. And that's kind of their ethos. They're already...
And there's if you've seen him talking about his mission statement and stuff, like, he gives like 3 different kind of main points, and it's beautiful. It's really inspiring.
Yeah. So it's already sort of a political organization in that way, and you'd expect anyone who wants to work for them to be part of that mission. And so that's all right. And the thing is, now when you have other opinions, that's fine, but there's a certain element where basically I think where it came from is companies started to either look for ways to differentiate themselves from their competitors in a way that wasn't directly competitive. Like, oh, we have lower prices, we have better products. But like, oh, you're one of these people. You're buying their social graces. At the same time as they kind of got a bad rap from people decrying them for evil corporatist practices. And they want to say, like, no, we're not a soulless corporation. We care about the things you peasants care about as well. And so, but obviously with different phrasing. Now, it became, and unfortunately, I think it's like, well, when we're talking slippery slopes, like, it could have been a slippery slope where now every single company has to have like a political stance. It's like, oh, where I buy my breakfast cereal from, I want to know what they think on racial injustice. Like, I mean, I want to know what they think about oats, to be honest. Like, and oats, the buck stops at oats.
Going to be the freshest or the best toasted, you know? Like, that's what really matters. It's...
Yeah, and now this apolitical is political now, which is kind of funny. And something similar happened. Whole Foods, which is an organic supermarket in the U.S., they got in trouble at the beginning of this whole Black Lives Matter issue because they didn't want their employees wearing any kind. They had a long-standing rule saying that the employees should not be wearing political buttons or hats or things like that while they're at work. They just wear the company stuff and that's it. And then they got protested and picketed because someone wanted to wear like a Black Lives Matter pin or something, and then the local manager said no, and then they started protesting. And so it seems like, you know, the crypto...
But you're not at work to make a political statement. Like let's be honest. So if somebody showed up there, though, it doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum they're on, especially in America, where the politics is so divisive. Here in New Zealand, we've got a very interesting political setup with our MMP. But at the same time, I will regularly sit down and have a conversation. Like we've had political leaders, specifically just earlier. We're actually in October now, but last month, political leaders from a couple of parties literally just sat down and said, "You know what? Let's have a chat. Let's see how we can get together." These kind of minor party leaders. Let's just sit down and see what we can do to help each other, what we can do to further everybody's goals in terms of making New Zealand a better place. But for the most part, right, like if you're in America and someone's going, I like red or I like blue, they end up like almost at fisticuffs sometimes, I've seen.
Yeah, and you see this like the world over in different degrees.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things why, one of the reasons I got involved in crypto is because I'm just tired of the gang war, the constant gang war that is that sort of thing. And crypto, unfortunately, just,
you have tribalism at its finest.
You know how that turned out. I think it's just at some point we got to realize that I think it's an aspect of humanity that kept humanity together and alive in pre-civilization days. Of you have to band up against the other people, otherwise they're going to crush you and pick your brains out of your skull and you smash your bones and like horrible things. And so humans are still wired to do that way, and we'll have to wait for a while, for a few hundred years before that sort of starts to wash out a little bit. That's just kind of my perspective on that. Now,
it's interesting. Like it's. I like the saying, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And I enjoy that kind of political discussion, even if people are not subscribed to my specific, very narrow set of political beliefs. And I completely respect that. And I like that because I feel that I, as a person, can grow. Should I be doing that at my job? No, they're not paying me to do that. And I think it's very refreshing and of Brian to have made that kind of a stance. Does politics need to be involved in crypto? I would say that we have enough politics of our own. We don't need to be bringing in anything else.
Yeah, that also makes me think that first off, being apolitical is sort of a political stance now, but also being mission focused is its own way of being political. Now, if you have a company, most cases, you're doing it to make money. Some people just think like, oh, if I can create a better form of toilet roll, I can make so much money and feed my family, myself, my workers, everyone. And that's just very purpose-based as far as like profit, which is plenty noble enough of a goal. However, a lot of places are also, they tend to be social entrepreneurs where they want to do their company as a vehicle for doing something. Like, for example, hey, we decided we are going to create a business that's run by combat veterans that give them something to do to keep their mind off of the horrors of war in the real world or whatever. And so we only employ combat veterans to create our whatever that. And okay, that's your purpose. That's your politics. That's your company. Or, for example, something like Coinbase, like we want to free the world through ushering in a new free financial system. That's, same thing. You could say Etsy, for example, has a political mission, which is to enable just anyone to just make their little crafts or whatever and then sell them online and make a living off of that. That's kind of it's a cause. And so I think that hopefully that's where we'll see the future go, where people are just like, you want a car, here's a car. Makes money kind of a thing. And either that or it's a mission focused company and not like we sell cookies, but we sell cookies for racial justice or something weird like we don't want to hear that from you guys. And it's been funny because you get like boycotts, you get other things like that. Oh, don't buy from them, they donate to this campaign, or I don't care. I just want my stuff.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, right? There are going to be people who are going to say, well, I'm not going to use Coinbase now because they're not going to support whatever hashtag is trending at the time that I want to be politically active about. But that's cool. I like that we've got the choice. That's something that I say a lot, is I like that we've got the choice I, for one, like the fact that I can go there and not be bombarded with political messages. Or I could follow their CEO and he's not going to be tweeting about whatever, like, I mean, I don't follow him, but that kind of thing would potentially matter more to me as somebody on the opposite side of that political activism spectrum. Like,
yeah, it is interesting that it's, for some people, it's become an all-encompassing thing. But this has been one of my overarching principles. One of the reasons I'm into all this crypto stuff and other things is I believe that politics is a woefully inefficient vehicle for change, for whatever it is. And I think that as far as anything political is necessary, that should be the limit. You should try to limit your exposure to politics in general. You should try to put most of your effort in life in the non-political ways of achieving your goals, because that's where you'd be more fulfilled, happier, more effective if you can manage it. You just only do politics when you have to. And so that's the thing about, like, I think it's it's a great sorrow that you have companies doing political things. Like, now they all have to have a political stance. They all have to change their little, like, I was just flipping through my phone looking for a Reddit app and I can't find it because it's black now. I can't see it. It used to be red for like the entire time. Now it's black for no UX. The UX suffered because they feel obligated to make a point about something. And I would rather, as much as possible, be achieved outside of that. But anyway, that's a long, long ramble on one specific issue. Let's hit up.
Almost as long as the dash mining rewards.
Yes, definitely getting sidetracked, but that's kind of the point of this. We're supposed to be ranting about random things. As I mentioned, I don't know if you've had a chance to check out Odyssey, Odyssee, which is a new YouTube competitor type thing. It is LBRY. It runs on the LBRY blockchain. It's all the same channels. It's very similar to the LBRY.tv site, but it's much more
nice, basically.
Yeah, it's much more video focused. And more traditional algorithms, not as much of the pledging credits behind thing. Like it's more of a less confusing, noob friendly kind of a front end.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I like it a lot. I love the UI overall. I love the dig at Google. I think it's hilarious. And if I'm going somewhere, right? If I'm going to YouTube, I'm going to YouTube because I want to watch videos. If I want to see memes and other funny things, I'll go to Imager. So I like the fact that it is predominantly separated out there. To be fair, like if I'm going there, I want to be entertained with either memes or I want to be entertained with a video. I want to sit there and just like kick back and go, okay, cool, I'm done. Having them split out more like that, yeah, I think it's cool, and I actually really like the look of the interface.
Yeah, this has been a project of in part Julian Chandra, who's who recently hired by LBRY, who's ex TikTok. He came from TikTok. He's from the glorious country of New Zealand as well. And yeah, I had the good chance of interviewing him recently. It'll probably be a week or so before I get to put that out because I have a giant backlog of interviews I've done, which is a great problem to have. But essentially, yeah, and he said something interesting, and this is spoiler alert for people that are, basically, he says that TikTok got its start focusing on the small creators and just promoting that kind of thing. And towards the end of his tenure there, they started to become more courting celebrities and big brands and focusing on those kinds of things. And then, hopefully, as a decentralized project, Odyssey starts to kind of has a more ground up vibe to it.
Well, that's what appealed to people, was that you could go there and become a celebrity.
A celebrity for random things that may not deserve celebrity status, but that was the glory of YouTube. Is
because you can.
Yeah. Or whatever the thing is.
Charlie Ray Jepsen video or something. I don't know.
Yeah. You could become a millionaire from doing that, which is a very strange thing. Now, KuCoin had a big hack. Again, this seems to sort of bring full circle to the beginning of the conversation where we're talking about BitMEX and why are you leaving your coins on exchanges, people. And yeah,
it happens to all of them. Like, actually, to be fair, we've just gone past the time when we should have had our annual Binance hack as well. Like,
Yes, a
that's
tradition of our
overdue now.
a tradition ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
Binance Hack Day.
Which was usually like August or something, I think, July. Oh, well, maybe we've broken that tradition now.
Yeah, broken the curse.
Yeah, maybe we're free from it. But these exchange hacks happen. We shouldn't be surprised. It's a big honeypot. You want a place to rob a bank without having to leave your disk?
Yeah.
There it is.
And it's just a bunch of weird little tokens. And my exposure to the hack, which I don't use exchanges, so I've never used exchange for that matter. I've only used little swap services for temporary little things. Is Presearch has temporarily halted withdrawals of their tokens and stuff. So Presearch is a search engine thing, sort of like a DuckDuckGo. It's a privacy enforcing search engine that pays you in little tokens to search, because you can stake tokens to like put yourself as like put your sponsored results up top and stuff like that. And it's like, it's a fun little thing. And so basically it's like the Brave browser of search engines. And they heavily relied on KuCoin, and they've lost a whole bunch of tokens there. And so they're still figuring out what to do about it. I heard something about like a token swap or something. Like maybe they might reissue Presearch tokens or something because so many of them got lost or something, which, it is what it is. But that's kind of my exposure to this thing. Is it's not just, some dummies lost their money on the exchange. It's just like a lot of now, like a whole project's ecosystem gets kind of hampered for a little while because of that.
Which sucks when it's that centralized on one exchange, right? Like you need more.
Yeah, you need to be bigger. Yeah. And if you have any interest in using Presearch, I do throw a little referral link down in the bio at some point. So if you want to go and sign up or whatever, I got a bunch of people to sign up.
Like you've got to start somewhere, right? Like you've got to begin on one exchange. You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But how long do you stay there for? And I don't know. And maybe it is just really shitty and unfortunate timing.
I think it is. And also we're at this weird spot where very few projects crack up into the high liquidity, high visibility world. Most of them just stay down in the, and a lot of great usability type projects. So people have been lamenting about, Dash used to be at number 3 and now it's not. And okay. But then, I don't know what's DigiByte.
A lot of shit in the top 20 though.
Yeah, a lot of fiat currencies in the top 20 cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, and it's bullshit. It really is. Like they don't belong there. So many of them, but whatever.
What's the highest DigiByte's ever been? Do you know? Was it in a top
number
10?
9?
Number 9. What's the lowest it's ever been? Has it been out of the front page before?
What's the front page? Top 100? No, so not since we got into it. But we've bounced up and down. Like we sat around like 30 for a while. We were up in the 20s. We got all the way down to like 75 or some shit. Where are we actually now?
Yeah.
Number 46.
Hopefully. Yeah, that's not bad. Oh. So then you got like projects like Presearch and LiteBringer, which are 2 crypto projects I use on a daily basis, right? I search every day on Presearch, and I upload videos and send little credits around, do stuff every day on LiteBringer. And those are both in like the 300 to 600 range, somewhere way back in like the bottoms of shitcoin-dom. But these are some ones like LBRY.TV on August got over 4 million visitors. That's
nice.
Pretty big for a crypto project, especially for like a few hundredth place crypto project, So when you're going to this like real use case kind of stuff, sometimes you're going to have to use stuff that's not listed on all the best exchanges. Like I had a fantastic interview with the CTO of Beam, I believe it was yesterday, the Mimblewimble coin. And based on what they're talking about, the technology they've done, the improvements, that sounds like a really fantastic top tier project. And I do not think it's on the front page of CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap or wherever.
Nope.
And as a result, they probably suffer from these liquidity issues, or where one exchange could just sink the whole thing, or not sink the whole thing, but cause a lot of mayhem. And it is what it is. It's just until we have dexes and until we have a lot less speculative trading and a lot more use-based acquisition, then, we're going to have to deal with this, unfortunately. Well, that's
right.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a sour note. So say some happy, fun things about DigiByte then.
Something nice to end on is we're still actively heading forward with prog power for GPU mining, Schnorr signatures for additional transaction volume, privacy, that kind of good stuff, and RandomX for CPU mining, which hopefully is going to also involve, it's the common question, mobile mining. So we'll see how that goes. Can you mine on your cell phone while you sleep? Maybe with a little bit of luck, we'll have an app. You hit the button, it mines for you. You go to sleep. You wake up, and you've got a DigiByte in there or something.
Yes, if that's the case, I for sure will be mining DigiByte. You bet on that. I still have like one DigiByte.
You heard it here first. He's gonna mine DigiByte.
I'm gonna be a Digiminer if I can mine on my phone. Yeah, well, that's awesome stuff. Well, thanks a ton for showing up at this.
Appreciate you having me on.
Quite an ungodly hour, but it's early on a weekend, which is not always optimal. So
for Saturday.
Yes. Yeah. Where can people find all about? This is your shill moment. What are you going to shill? Where should people go?
Buy my shitcoin.
Yes.
No.
Pump DigiByte if you can. That would make him happy. Yeah. But in the meantime,
I will never tell anybody that they need to go out and buy DigiByte. No. But if you want to find out more about it, I also run educational videos. They're not quite as consistent at the moment as Joel's are, but you can catch me at DigiByteandFriends.com. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at DGB_chilling. And hit me up. Say hi.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, thanks, everyone. If you want to suggest specific topics for next 2 weeks from now, because next week is a Dash podcast. I do that one every other week. And then, so 2 weeks from now, I might, first off, this is where this live chat thing you've been using, which thank you very much for all the support. And I did get a private message too during this time, which thank you very much. You know who you are. I don't know who you are because you're anonymous, but you know who you are. And you can use this when I'm not live too. It just still goes to my email. It still goes to the page. You can still drop me some whatever coin you got. And yeah, send a little message. And what I want to hear from you guys is, first off, any suggestions or feedback from the show that you have. But also, who do you want me to have on as a guest in a couple weeks? I have some ideas, but if you have someone you'd like to suggest instead, yeah, go for it. And also, any topics you really want to cover. Because usually we just go the rundown of like the latest news and stuff like that. But there might be some timeless-ish thing that you want me to complain about. And, anyway, feel free to chat all about that stuff. Thanks very much to Josiah for coming, and yeah, sign up on all the little referral links below. I'm a referral link pumper. I've got to compete with Ken Bozak, I might hit him up for next time, but I can compete with Ken Bozak for referral link shilling. So join LBRY, join Presearch, use Bitrefill because it's awesome, and obviously use NordVPN if you want to sign up and actually protect your privacy online. So do all those things. And bye, everyone.